Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Clams. I'm Will, and we are down here in what is a flawless day in Key West. Bright blue skies, little bit of a breeze, nice and warm. Today I got a phone call from Aaron. He had a charter today, he had two people on the boat, Lisa and James. I am actually gonna attach their Instagram because Lisa's an incredible photographer and spearfisherwoman, and James is an incredible spearfisherman and incredible photographer. So check them out, you won't be disappointed. Now Lisa shot a cobia that, I mean, it was bigger than her, it's huge. Now cobia is a firm whitefish. It's got a little bit of flavor to it, so you can manipulate it. You can really do some cool stuff to it. So what we're gonna focus on today is an Indian kati roll, which is kind of like in between a taco and a burrito, but with Indian flavors. So we're gonna make Tikka Masala Cobia kati roll. So we're gonna do 1 part vinegar and almost 1 part water. And then salt and sugar. Really, really simple. We're not going crazy with it. It's just gonna be a topping on our kati roll. There's nothing better than a sharp knife. Okay, let me grab a container to put those in. Now, a lot of times I would do this with lime and lemon and just actually cure my red onion rather than make a pickle out of it. But because the tikka masala sauce is going to be tomato based and have a little bit of lemon in it, I kind of want something maybe a little more vinegary rather than citrusy. So that's why we're doing this way. Now we're almost at a boil with our pickling liquid. So I'm just going to give it a quick taste to see. A little more salt. And because I'm not preserving these, I'm just setting them aside for tonight. We're just gonna do it in this container. I'm gonna pour that over and then let them sit out until we're ready to serve them. All right, we're up to a rolling boil. And we just pour them over to cover our red onion. And I'm gonna put these aside inside. I'm not gonna put them in the refrigerator. I want them to cool down to room temp, and that'll help them cook. They're already turning that nice bright pink color. So these will be set aside, and now let's get started on the flatbread. Now we're gonna make the dough for our flatbread. And this is really, really simple. So this was something during the beginning of quarantine, my roommate was making a lot, and the yogurt in it just gives it a bit of an Indian flavor, and that's what made me actually think of these. So you want to do 2 cups of flour, all-purpose flour, and this is probably the only time you'll ever see me measure something or at least come close to it. So 2 cups all-purpose flour, then 2 teaspoons salt, and if you watch, this is the sea salt that I made a couple episodes back. 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, and now we want this all mixed together. Before we add our yogurt. Now the yogurt is the only binding agent in this recipe, which is interesting. No eggs, nothing like that. All right, now our yogurt, you want 1 full cup. Okay. And start mixing. Now, a lot of times with fish, you don't necessarily think of Indian food. You think of lamb and chicken and things like that, but fish actually lends itself really well to all the flavors of Indian cuisine. Now, I know Indian cuisine can be really strong flavors, so that's why you gotta kind of pick your fish. And that was why when I heard that they had a cobia, that this would be the one, because it will stand up to the flavor on our kati roll with the tikka masala, and it'll actually blend perfectly. When you're done with this, what you're gonna do is divide it into 4 balls, wrap them up in saran wrap, and then put them in the fridge. And they gotta sit for at least 15 minutes before we cook them. Now, because it's a flatbread, we're just gonna cook them in a saute pan. Put a little bit of oil, and I'm gonna pre-cook them and then heat them up at Aaron's house later. This is looking good. Any bread makers out there, don't crucify me for this. I don't do any kind of baking. Okay. Now into force, that's our dough. And each one of these should give me about 4 flatbreads each, if I did this correctly. Because you roll them out pretty thin, and they don't have to be any particular shape either, which is good for me because I'm not good at that either. I'm gonna wrap these in saran wrap, put them in the fridge, and then we're gonna get started on our tikka masala sauce. So tikka masala sauce, if you don't know, is a tomato-based sauce with yogurt. Sometimes it's yogurt, sometimes it's cream, sometimes it's actually cashew. But today we're gonna use yogurt. I'm really partial to this sauce. I think it has an amazing tang to it. The brightness of the tomatoes, it's not overpowering. It has a little bit of curry flavor. And again, it's subtle. So it works really nice with fish. Now, if you notice, I'm gonna be throwing things in pretty chunky because when everything sweats down, we're gonna blend the whole thing into a puree. So 3 garlic cloves. A healthy piece of ginger. Now I know you can scrape it with a spoon. I'm not doing it. These will go into my compost heap, so it's okay. Now because ginger can be fibrous, this I will actually cut into smaller pieces. One small Spanish onion. Now also in this, I don't want anything to really brown. I'm just trying to sweat it down and cook it down. 1 enormous shallot. Now normally I would do 2 shallots, but this is some GMO monster shallot, so just 1 will do. And now cilantro. I'm going to actually use the tail end there on my stems because we're going to put coriander in there too. 1 Fresno chili. These aren't too spicy. I was gonna go 2, but when I'm cooking for other people, I tend to hold back a little bit on the spice level that I like and kind of ease them into it. And we can taste this as we go to kind of up the ante. One other thing I need is a little bit of tomato paste. A little bit of salt to get the process going. And now we add our spoonful of tomato paste before adding our tomatoes because I want this tomato paste to cook a little bit. I don't want it to be raw. Now we're gonna start adding our tomatoes. And again, don't have to go crazy with chopping because it's all getting blended. If you ever want to know if your knife is sharp, try cutting a tomato. If it doesn't slice through the way that my knife is slicing through these, your knife is not sharp. You should never have to saw anything, just slice. Now for our spices, a little more salt, cumin, coriander, turmeric, and a little bit of curry powder. Now we're gonna let this cook down until those tomatoes are fully cooked down. So I'm gonna grab the lid, put it on there, and we're gonna let this ride probably about like 15-20 minutes. So our tikka masala has been simmering. That looks good. Ooh. The smell coming off of that. If you like Indian food, this is the dish for you. I mean, this is. So I'm gonna go through with my spoon and just make sure everything in there is soft. Nothing crunchy. We're gonna give this about 10 more minutes. I really want those veggies nice and soft and cooked through so that we can get a smooth puree out of them. Let's take a look. Every time I pull that lid off, that smell, it's earthy, but then the tomatoes are really, really bright. I mean, maybe it's the Italian in me that I'm partial to this dish because it's basically a tomato sauce. But man, oh man. All right, I'm gonna turn off my heat. Now comes the fun part. So I have a hand blender here. You could easily put this in a blender. I don't like putting hot things in a blender because it just seems more dangerous, but this is easier. But I will say, don't wear a white shirt. This does take a couple of minutes to blend because you want to make sure there's no chunks in there. A little bit's not bad, the seeds and whatnot, but we don't want any big pieces of garlic or hunks of ginger that would be unpleasant to bite into. So we're all blended up, got it nice and smooth. Now, I'm gonna add half the juice of a lemon. And if you squeeze a lemon, cut side up, you can actually pull the seeds as they come out instead of fishing them out of there. Or squeeze it ahead of time like a thoughtful person. And then you don't have to do this at all. Yep, I got one in there. That is very good already. Now we're gonna add 2 big spoonfuls of yogurt. And mix that in. Now between the tomatoes, the lemon, and the yogurt, this sauce has a nice tang to it, a really nice, beautiful tang that is gonna go well with fish. But then with the garam masala, curry, and the turmeric, and the coriander, and everything like that, it's gonna have this really earthy taste too. So it covers 2 very polar opposites in one sauce, and it's magical. It is so bright. Now again, the acid and everything is gonna cut through the bread because our bread's gonna have a lot of flavor to it too. So the acid is gonna cut through the bread, marry with the fish really, really well. Those earth tones, and then the Fresno chili that we put in there, it's hot, but then the yogurt immediately cools it out. I am telling you, this sauce is perfection. I mean, it just hits every single note and balances itself out. Now we're on to our flatbread. So our dough rested about 20 minutes. I got my pan heating up, a little bit of olive oil. And then each one of these, so this is a 1/4 of the big ball I had back there. And then each one of these, I'm gonna cut into 4 again. Need my knife for that. So, about the size of a ping pong ball almost. And now, lightly dust my board, my hands, my rolling pin, anything that's downwind of me. And they get, from the times that I've had them, that my roommate has made them, they get a little brown and a little char on them. Oh yeah. Doing this out in the sun probably isn't that great either, but we're working with what we got. Oh, that's perfect. So now traditionally cotty rolls are going to be a little bit bigger than this, but I want to do small ones because we're actually doing a couple of courses. But for this episode, I just want to focus on this one dish, our Tikka Masala Cobia cotty roll. Looking good. All right, we're back at Aaron's. I got him to come down from the roof. Like I said, I linked it down. I have James here and Lisa, two incredible spearfishers and photographers. So this is our cobia, and thanks James and Lisa for that. But it's a nice firm fish, has a little bit of taste to it, almost the consistency of mahi-mahi, if you've ever had that. So all I'm gonna do with it is salt and pepper. And then we're going into our smoking skillet. So we're gonna sear that about 30 seconds each side. And now I got the oven to 375. So these are gonna go straight into the oven. We're gonna cook them about 10, 12 minutes. These are pretty thick. And then I have my tikka masala sauce reheated. My bread is in there heating up. Once these come out, we'll be ready to assemble our cotty rolls. So we're at 10 minutes. I'm gonna pull my fish. And then I want to get it off of this skillet so that it doesn't keep cooking. Do the skewer test. Ooh, she's done. All right. I have my tikka masala sauce. Our flatbreads are all heated up. That's perfect. Mm. Oh man, look at that.
Nailed it?
That's a beautiful thing. Every fish is so different. You get used to cooking one. And that's almost something that's funny with seasons. You go through a season of just cooking the same fish over and over again. You get it in your repertoire. and then all of a sudden the season changes and everybody comes back with cobia. And I think I've honestly cooked cobia once before, and that's it. So it's definitely still new to me. Some scallion. Our pickled red onion. And some cilantro. Putting cilantro on things with wet hands does not work. It just doesn't come off. So there we have our Cobia Tikka Masala Kati rolls. Now we're gonna eat them. I'm gonna get James's reaction to eating it because he's a cook also. So this is high pressure now. All right, moment of truth.
Holy crap.
Now I'm gonna take a bite.
Where's your plate?
Right here.
Better get your own.
I was looking at your plate.
The pickled onion is delicious.
Curry
Yeah.
fish too much. My favorite thing.
So like I said, Indian flavors really do lend themselves well to fish, but you gotta pick your fish. Something really light and flaky, I wouldn't do it. But something more hearty like cobia, like this, absolutely. And just the textures of everything on there, the bite of the onion just coming through, that little bit of texture, man, they are good. All right, we're gonna eat. We're gonna talk more about spearfishing with these guys, sit and make each other laugh. If you like this episode, hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.